Okay, today we're going to be learning about the order of operations. What are the order of operations and why do we even need them? Okay, so the order of operations are as follows. We have parentheses. First thing you want to do is all of the math problems and operations within parentheses. Next, you want to do all and evaluate all of the exponents. The third step would be to look for multiplication and division. Okay? So we're going to do multiplication and division in the order that it is left to right. So sometimes multiplication comes first, sometimes division comes first. And then finally, we'll simplify the addition and subtraction the same way, left to right. And as you can see, the first letters will spell out this little word PEMDAS that we use as like our little acronym to help us remember them. Grouping together multiplication and division, grouping together addition and subtraction, so we know that those are done left to right. Okay, let's try an example. So when we look at this problem, 9 minus 14 times 3 divided by 7, I first look for parentheses. There are none. I look for exponents. There are none. I look for multiplication and division. They're both present, and if I do them left to right, I look from the left of the problem to the right of the problem. That means I'm going to be doing the 14 times 3 first. When I take 14 times 3, I'll get 42. Bring down the rest of the numbers. Now I have subtraction and division, and I will do the division first. So 42 divided by 7 is 6, so 9 minus 6 equals 3. And that's how I get my answer. Let's try another example. In example 2, you'll see some brackets and parentheses. Since parentheses are the first thing that we're going to solve, we look to the innermost parentheses first, which are the 4 times 5. So we go ahead and rewrite the whole problem. I can change this bracket now to a parenthesis because I'm going to multiply my 4 times my 5. Again, I still have that parenthesis, or it was the bracket, and so that's the part that I'll do first. 120 divided by 20 is 6, and bring down my 48 divided by 6. In this case, my final answer would be 8. Okay, here's going to be a couple videos that'll help us with order of operations. Let's see if this will work.
Does 3 times 4 to the second power equal 48 or 144? What's your guess? In this lesson, you will learn how to use the order of operations to evaluate expressions by learning the order, then working through examples. Remember, an exponent, or power, tells you how many times to multiply a base number by itself. So 2 raised to the 5th power indicates we are to multiply 2 by itself 5 times. Back to our original question. Does 3 times 4 to the second power equal 48 or 144? Those of you who got 144 probably multiplied this 3 by the 4 to get 12. Then you raised that to the second power by multiplying it by itself, and you got 144. Those of you who got 48 realized correctly that the only base being raised to the second power is 4. So we should only multiply 4 by itself, not the product of 3 times 4. Since multiplication is the only operation we have left here, we can either multiply 3 by 4 first and get 12 times 4, or we can multiply 4 by 4 first and get 3 times 16. Either way, we're going to get a result of 48. It's important to realize here that because 4 was the only base being raised to the second power, we had to apply the exponent before we multiplied. The only way we would multiply before we applied the exponent would be if the base was written in parentheses as 3 times 4. This would tell us to multiply 3 times 4 first to get 12 as the base of the exponent, and then we'd get 144. But since the original question did not have the multiplication in parentheses, we should not have multiplied 3 by 4 before applying the exponent, so 144 is incorrect. This leads us to see how important it is to complete the operations in the correct order. There were only 2 operations in this expression, yet mixing them up gave us 2 very different answers. For all expressions, the order with which we complete operations is as follows. Parentheses. We complete any operations that are in parentheses first. Exponents. If we see any bases raised to exponents, we apply them now. Again, be sure to apply the exponents only to the bases to which they're attached. Multiplication and division. The next step is to complete any multiplication or division you see. These 2 operations both happen during this step. They are not separate steps. So whichever operation, multiplication or division, that comes first as you go left to right in the expression is the operation you should complete first in this step. Addition and subtraction. The last step you complete is addition and subtraction. As with multiplication and division, these 2 operations both happen at the same time as you travel left to right in the expression. Some people use the acronym PEMDAS to remember the order of operations because the letters of the operations spell this out. P, E, M and D, and then A and S. Others may use the expression, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, because the letters stand for those words as well. But if you do use a trick to remember the order, please remember to think about it like this. P, then E, then M and D together, then A and S together. If you simply remember PEMDAS, you may think multiplication has to come before division, but they really happen at the same time, so I like to write them like this. Let's try a few examples together. We're going to evaluate 5 minus 4 times 2 to the power of 3. Here's our order of operations. First, let's look for any parentheses. I don't see any, so we'll move on to the exponent step. I do see that 2 is being raised to the third power, and so I'll apply that exponent, and I get 8. Now I'm on to the multiplication and division step. All I see is multiplication, so I'm going to multiply 4 times 8 and get 32. Now I'm on to the addition and subtraction step, and 5 minus 32 is negative 27. So that's our answer. One last example. We want to evaluate 12 divided by 4 minus the quantity 2 plus 7 raised to the second power plus 6 times 3. Quite a mouthful. First we'll look for parentheses. Here they are. We'll apply that 2 plus 7 and get 9. Now we're on to the exponent step. There's an exponent, 9 raised to the second power. That's equal to 81. Now we're on to the multiplication and division step. I see both multiplication and division, but division comes first, so we do it first. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now we'll go ahead and do the multiplication of 6 times 3 and get 18. Now we're on to the addition and subtraction step. Subtraction comes first. 3 minus 81 is negative 78. Now we'll finally add that to the 18 and get negative 60 as our answer. In this lesson, you'll learn how to use the order of operations to evaluate expressions by learning the order, then working through examples.